Good morning, YouTube, and this is your resident zombie, Cleo, and I'm here to talk to you today about one of my very favourite things, and that is, of course, science. Most of you know by now, and if you don't, you're about to be told, that my day job is as a science teacher, and it's very apparent to me at school and as I go around the world that people's knowledge about the fundamental principles of science is kind of lacking. So what I've decided to do is a couple of short videos, possibly more if people like it, about ideas that they might have either got the wrong impression about or they might not know anything about. So we're going to start today by entering the Cleo cube. Yes, I did build that. And perhaps teaching you all about what happened and where you began. I will see you inside the Cleo cube, and I'll teach you today about the Big Bang. Okay, so I'm going to sound like a bad religious text, I'm sure, but in the beginning there was nothing. And when I say nothing, I don't mean vacuum nothing. I mean actually there was nothing. There was no there. Okay? Because at the Big Bang, I'm sure you all know, it's about the creation of space and the universe and everything. A little bit of Hitchhiker's Guide, but the universe and everything. And yeah, there was no space. There was nothing. So think of, as I've put here, a solid stone wall made of, and those stones are made of nothing. Okay? Now, what we found, well, what is theorised at the moment, rather than found, because this is all based on random evidence that we've discovered around. Everything, the idea of the Big Bang is that everything was condensed down into an infinitesimal dot of nothing. Okay, so imagine one of these pixels, then imagine a millionth of that, and then possibly a billionth of that, and then divide that by a billion, and you start to get the idea about how teeny tiny this thing was. So from this to tiny dot, teeny tiny, too small for you to even comprehend. Everything was squished down into that. Okay? Right, so this teeny tiny space, which I am now going to represent with the pumpkin. Is that a regular pumpkin? I want a jack-o'-lantern. There we go. Let's choose a jack-o'-lantern because... There we go. So, we don't know, this thing, this compressed matter that's so small that we can't even begin to comprehend it, is so tiny, we don't know if it was always there. We don't know if it only recently popped into being at the beginning of the universe. We're not even 100% sure it was there at all until the second that the universe was created or made or whatever. Anyway, this tiny little thing called a singularity was in space with nothing around it. And when I say nothing, I mean literally there was nothing. There wasn't even space. And then madness happened and it exploded. Except we tend to think of an explosion as... how am I going to do this? Come on. Oh, it's been a pain in the bum. Okay. We tend to think of explosions as being sort of like you would a Minecraft explosion, if I can find the TNT. This is how we think of the Big Bang. For a start, just no. It didn't act like that. For a start, explosions with fire and all brimstone and everything, that requires oxygen. And there is no oxygen. In fact, there were only two... At the beginning of the universe, there was only one element, and that was represented by this picture here. And if I take this one, this is hydrogen. Hydrogen has one proton and one electron, okay? And it's the lightest material known to man, okay? So it's tiny. The universe was filled with this stuff. And then it made helium by the process of fusion. And a helium is almost as good as that, almost as small as that. It's two... Hang on. It would help if I had the thing up. It's two protons and two neutrons surrounded by two electrons. These are the building blocks of the universe. Everything is made from these teeny tiny particles of everything. And 98% of the matter in the universe was created at the point of the Big Bang, or the Great Expansion, as it were. There's a little problem with this idea, and I'll speak about that later, to do with where did everything else come from. There's only two heliums. There's only two elements, hydrogen and helium. This explosion here couldn't have been a proper explosion because there is no oxygen, and for things to burn we require oxygen. So those people who are seeing a massive explosion, it wasn't like that. There was a lot of heat, there was a lot of pressure, but mostly what happened was there was space. All of a sudden, the universe started making space around itself. Okay, and that's where we come into space these days. Most of the space, if not all of it, was made within the first fraction of a second during the Big Bang. Like seconds, literally, to make pretty much everything you see and can't see in the universe today. So, where there was nothing, there is suddenly space. And in that space, hydrogen and helium are fusing together to form other elements. There is a problem with this. I said I was coming on to it. So from these two elements, everything is made. You, me, the solar system, your pet dog, the poster on your wall, the glass in your windows, everything ultimately comes back to these two elements that were made at the beginning of the Big Bang. Now, there was also a bit of lithium made about then as well. The heavier elements, everything has to come from these two. Okay, this was pretty much everything that was made in the Big Bang, these two things here. Okay, now, you are mostly carbon. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Carbon is 4 of everything, basically. It's a bit simplified, but we've got 2 of these and everything, 1 in that one, and those things that make you, the heavier elements, were not made at the beginning of the universe, but they can only be made in temperatures and pressures like the ones that occurred in the Big Bang. Now, if they didn't occur there, where did they come from? And that's a question that we're going to leave for another time. So, that was what was made at the beginning of the universe. Hydrogen, helium, and space. Oh, and hello, Mr. Pig. Thank you. And space. Mostly space, in fact. Space is big. And I am punching these out to just demonstrate the fact that space is big. Space is something that was made at the time. So was gravity. So was me falling down to my death. Gravity made at the Big Bang. Everything was made at the Big Bang, really. space, time, gravity, those things started in the very first billionths of a second. Okay? And if gravity hadn't been as strong as it is, we would not have the universe we have today. It would be, if gravity was weaker, we'd have a big open space of nothing where nothing sort of, fits together and works properly. It would float off into nothingness. There would be no planets coalescing. Nothing would join together. I mean, and we're not talking about huge changes in gravity. We're talking like millionths of a point either way. Okay? We would get also, if it was too strong, everything would just crush together and we wouldn't be able to get life. In either of those situations, everything floating off on its own and everything crushing down in its centre, known as open and, I think it's flat worlds, together, nothing could spawn, nothing could grow. I said spawn. Nothing could live. No, there would be no chance of life. It's only when we have our gravity, or gravity very similar to ours in the universe, where we actually get enough for stars and planets to hold together, but not enough to crush everything. This is my crude representation of stars and things going around stars. Okay? It's only when we get the gravity we have do we get the order that we have in the universe. And it's incredibly, incredibly rare. So rare, in fact, as to be... we might be the only universe made... Well, that's another theory, that we might be more than one universe. As far as we might be the only universe where that condition has been met. Fractions either way, and we would not have the universe we have today. We would have either an open universe or a closed universe where everything's crushed. But anyway, the universe is big. I mean, it's a lot bigger than you can even begin to comprehend. Okay, so this is what I was going to show you. If this is Earth, and this representation I've got here is not to scale. Okay, this is the Sun, much bigger than the Earth, so I've only shown a portion of it. And this is the Earth, this blue block here. Now, we have light years between us and the closest star, which is called Proxima Centauri. Now, we can only see how far light has travelled in the universe in the billions of years that the universe has been around, which is quite a way. The speed of light is 300,000 kilometres per second, I think. I will look that up and I will put a note if I'm wrong, but I think it is. And as we go out, we get approached by like stars and galaxies. In fact, yes, if we get this layer here, this would be our stars, and then we get further out, we get into galaxies, which would be a lot bigger, but I've not represented this very well. And then we get this. Hello, Chicky. Hi. We get this. This is the limit of observed space. Yeah? This is how far light has travelled from this area back to us in the time that the universe has been around. Okay? That's as far as we can see. And it's not because there's nothing else out there. It's because we can't see very well in a distance. Yeah? So we don't know what's beyond here. There could be written, "Hi, my name is Fred," written out there in the stars, but we don't know because we cannot see it. Okay? And at some point, there is possibly, and not definitely, a limit to space. Now, this could be anywhere. It could be just beyond visible space, at which point we've got probably a surprise coming up in the next 100 or so years. And I'm talking hundreds of so years, actually. It could be so far out, or it could not be there. We don't know what shape the universe is in, and we're not 100% sure. We think it's not expanding anymore. Okay, universes and galaxies are rushing away from each other, but it's under some debate whether the universe is expanding or we're just moving closer to the edge. So yeah, from the tiny infinitesimal spot, everything has arrived. The Big Bang is a big deal, okay? And it happened 13.7 billion years ago, okay, to best guess. And if you want to see the Big Bang, and you have an analog TV, which is the one that uses aerials, by the way, if you don't know what an analog is, you can see the Big Bang on TV, and you can see it every single day. Because the Big Bang is picked up by radio telescopes or anything else that picks up analog signals. And if you have an analog TV and you turn it to a place where you're not getting information, so if the signal's coming out this way and your TV is down here and is not getting a signal, that fuzzy pattern that you get, that grey and white pattern, the black and white pattern of just fuzzy lines, often called snow. Hello, kitty. It's a radio telescope, by the way. It's not very good. That is the microwave radiation of the Big Bang. Okay, so that fuzzy pattern that you see wherever you go on TVs that are not tuned in properly, that's the Big Bang. Yeah, and there's a group of researchers, and I'll put their names down the bottom once I've looked them up, who actually discovered this, actually by accident, because they found a background hiss when they were in their radio telescopes, and that background hiss was always there. It comes from every part of the sky, all the time, every single day. Okay, so it's there. You just have to know where to look. So anyway, I think I've rambled on enough about the Big Bang. I hope I've taught you a little bit. I don't know what the next one's going to be about. If you've got things you'd like me to cover, I'm not going to say I will cover them, but just certainly leave them in the comments, and I will fix up the Cleo cube for next time. Okay? Catch you later, guys. Bye bye.